What's up, co-reporters, and welcome back to my channel. Hello to the Family Chantel crew. The episode dropped last night, and I'm already here recapping it. This time I didn't forget. So happy. So let's jump into it. So at the very top of the episode, you've got Chantel doing a photo shoot with her sister, and our poor girl is just not feeling it. She's not feeling herself because she is all up in her head due to that trifling selfie that her ex-husband Pedro posted with Karima, specifically to mess with Chantel's head. Pedro knows that Karima is engaged to another man, so there's nothing there between him and her. But he posted the selfie anyway, knowing that it would set Chantel off and trigger her and deeply upset her because she always suspected that they had something going on between the two of them. And unfortunately, it worked. By the way, why was Chantel even looking at his Instagram? He should have been blocked and deleted by now. Like, you don't go look at your ex's like social media, girl. Everybody knows that. As hard as it is, you just don't go looking. By the way, you guys, if you, like me, don't live in the US and you want to watch this is what I do. My brother lives in the US, okay? So he gives me his credit card and he signs up on the Discovery website, and then I watch it using my VPN, and then I send him money every month for my account or whatever. So if you guys have those kinds of issues, you want to watch this from abroad, definitely consider getting a VPN. I've got an affiliate link to the one that I use in the comment section down below, okay? So now, Chantel's mother lets her know that she and Chantel's sister are about to go meet up with Alejandro, who is Pedro's sister Nicole's ex-boyfriend. And of course, she invites Chantel along, but Chantel declines. She says, after seeing that selfie that Pedro posted with Karima, I am like, you know what? He is crapping all over me in our marriage. So I really do need to move on. So I'm not going to be hung up with getting all the details on the past. I'm going to move forward. My friend set me up with a blind date. I am going to go on a blind date. This is too painful for me. And I was really, really proud of her because that was the right move. Like, what's done is done. The past is the past. Like, who cares? Move forward now. Like, you can't change anything. You're already divorced, and that's it. Anyway, let's get into Lydia. This episode showed that this woman has literally no self-esteem. Like, it is down in the gutter. Is there anything lower than the gutter? Because if so, her self-esteem is below that. And I genuinely felt bad for her. Typically, when I look at Pedro's mom and sister, I'm like, wow, these are just such nasty, evil, mean ladies. But now for the first time, I feel so sad for his mom. And I'm like, oh my God, this woman really, truly does not love or even like herself. And that makes me sad for her. So let me just, show you an example of why. And this entire recap will go into more reasons and examples for why. So she spent the night with Scott, and obviously they were banging like a screen door in a hurricane. And then she comes back to her house dressed up in the same clothes that she wore to go out, which is, as I like to call it, the walk of shame. And her kids are waiting for her at the kitchen table to drag her for it. And it was kind of funny that way. And so, one thing that kind of made me gag was that her own daughter was a sprinkle girly. Nicole's like, what are you doing in this man's hotel, sleeping with him? What has he even done for you? Like, literally nothing. He comes here. We ask him if he brought you a gift, and he just talks about how he brought his broke ass raggedy heart, and that's it. Like, literally nothing. Meanwhile, on the internet, he tries to make it look like he's some kind of rich big shot, all these cars, showing off his houses. I'm like, yeah, Nicole, you better let it be known. If you're going to be playing baller shot caller like that, you can at least bring something. Like, I'll give you an example. Whenever, for example, when I went to visit my friend's family in Tunisia, I brought La Durée, which is like designer macarons from here in Paris for them. I bring gifts like that. And I'm not even playing baller shot caller. I'm playing nothing, because I don't post nothing like that on social media. So a guy like that, he could at least bring one small thoughtful gift, and he did nothing. So I understand why Nicole was pissed off, especially after finding out that this guy had brought his ex-girlfriend from Colombia to Dominican Republic and probably already smashed her in that same room that he later brought their dodo bird mother to, Now here's where we're going to get into instance number 2 of their mom having literally no self-esteem. Come to find out, Lydia had Pedro and Nicole with a married man. Do you know how much you have to hate yourself to have not one, but two kids with a married man? Pathetic. On her end and on his end. Absolutely pathetic, gutter, vile, disgusting trash, the two of them to do this. So that was like the first time it jumped out at me. I'm like, wow, like this woman is woof, you know? Just wow, embarrassing. So anyway, let's get back to Chantel and what she's up to, because we've got a lot more to talk about when it comes to Miss Lydia later on in this recap. So Chantel is preparing for her date, and then she talks to Winter about how in her like 10 years of being with Pedro, he never took her on dates, like only in the Dominican Republic. But even still, when he was in the DR, Pedro's sister was always like brought along for their dates. They were never one-on-one. And every time I watch these shows, I'm like, it's so incredible to me how like some women have literally no standards. You know what I mean? I'm like, wow, like this is incredible. You were putting up with that for a decade? A decade? The way I'm always out, like, you know, out like a light. As soon as things just do not please me in a relationship and I try to go, listen, I don't like this, okay? I'm going to need you to meet me here. And if the guy refuses, peace out. I'm not going to stay 10 years with a guy who doesn't take me on dates. What is that? You're a young, hot girl. Baseball players are after you. Canadian rappers with liposuction are after you. Who else is after you? Actors. And this is what you're settling for? Girls, please, 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 please know your worth and do not accept half. Do not put yourself on the clearance rack, on the Black Friday rack. This just broke my heart for Chantel. I was like, wow, that is freaking sad. What the F, you know? I can't believe what some women will settle for, truly. Now, you know, one thing I did find quite funny about her date was that it was with the guy whose name was Scott, just like the name of Pedro's mother, Lydia's date, right? I was like, wow, what a small world. This to me shows, because, you know, it's funny. I was talking to my friend about this. She had a run-in with an ex of hers. And I'm like, you know, sometimes you're just like, when you have a really deep connection, especially like a love connection with somebody, like you remain tied in some way for a really long time, you know? And like, she just was talking about how like, she does this usual route of walking, you know, with her dog and stuff. And this time something told her to stay longer. And then because she stayed longer, she ran into this guy for the first time in a long time. I'm like, girl, there was something. He was thinking about you too. And then like it wound up like that, you know? So I feel like this spiritual or like the emotional or the whatever you want to call it soul tie, I guess, between Chantel and Pedro led to both his mom and his ex-wife dating someone with the same name. I don't know how to explain it, you guys. If you're more like esoterical than me, please put your explanation in the comments. But I do feel like there is like some kind of, you know, reason. The connection between them is not yet fully broken. So anyway, this guy, like, he was pretty good looking, but like he gave crazy eyes a bit, and like he wasn't like soft or warm or romantic or anything. He's like, here, let's go to this like game place, I guess like an arcade or something. Like, sorry, but that's not like hot. That's not romantic to get like the juices flowing for a first date. You know what I mean? And so he talked about how like his priorities in life are work in the gym. And I'm like, you know, Chantel was turned off too, because her ex was like that. And like, sorry, but who wants a guy who's like, oh, I'm a workaholic? To me, that's an instant like red flag, you know? Thank God I live in France, where like workaholism doesn't really, it's not a thing that is praised like it was in Canada or like, you know, in the US or whatever. It's more about leisure and living your life, you know? But I just don't like that mentality. So I'm with her on that. And then she asks him if he considers himself to be a romantic guy. And he's like, yeah, like, look, I'm romantic. I took you to an arcade, dude. And then he says that this is what he does. He takes women to like kind of like gamey dates to see if there's a connection enough to go to dinner. And for him, dinner is a diner. What is that, like Dave and Buster's? I've never been to one, but I've heard of this, like being in America. I think like for Canada, diner, I'm thinking Rockin' Johnny's and I'm thinking Denny's, you know? And I'm like, really? That's what you consider a romantic date? Going to an arcade, then going to a diner? Okay, dude. And you're out here wearing Burberry. I'm sorry, but like, this is not giving Burberry. So yeah, he's like basically acting like he auditions women to see if they're worth that. And like, that's a turn off. And then he lets it be known to Chantel as well. Like, yeah, if there's a connection, which by the way, I'm not feeling right now. I'm like, right. Okay. Well, you're definitely not going to feel it later, because of course that would like, you know, make her just turn her off. That would turn anybody off, any woman off. Like, what? That's so weird. And so I love that she called it out. She's like, yeah, like, I don't like that he was acting like he had to audition me to see if I was worth like a dinner date or something like that. Like, I want someone who's going to take me to this nice, beautiful like restaurant off the rip. And I'm like, yes, girl, go for it. You could totally pull it. You know what I mean? Do not let the bare minimum brigade talk you out of it, because there are many, many, many wonderful men who will offer that to a beautiful woman such as yourself. So, now let's get into Pedro's mom and her lack of self-esteem. So it's time for her children to confront her trifling geriatric F boy, Scott. And so they go to like this beach, but it's the evening time. It's all dark. There's no light. And this woman, she shows up in a bikini with like a cover up over it, like they're about to go swimming. I'm like, what is wrong with you? If you wanted to look nice and light on the beach and airy, you could have worn a nice, beautiful, light evening dress like your daughter Nicole wore. What is this? Why is your coochie half hanging out here? My God. So Scott says, you know, to the camera, not to Pedro, of course, because this would be weird. He's like, yeah, like, I just want to make sure things are like, you know, pretty good with Pedro, because one day he might be calling me Poppy. You know, he's so annoying. Everything about him, like his face to me is so punchable. Like, I don't like anything about him. It's just typical loser, passport bro, just annoying, disrespectful to other cultures, and just, ugh, you know, to me. And he's just a creep to me. So anyway, he's like sitting down at the table with the kids, and he can tell right off the rip that they cannot stand him. And so he's just trying to like inquire, see how everything's going and everything like that. And then Nicole starts confronting him about how he had brought a Colombian woman over to the Dominican Republic, slept in the hotel with her, and then later brought her mom to that same hotel. Maybe the sheets weren't even changed between the two of them, with the way that guy is, right? And then banged her in that same hotel room. And Scott's denying that he banged the Colombian, but come on now, your ex, you haven't seen her in years. Suddenly you both have some kind of like thing for each other. You want to see if there's something there, and you're not gonna, you know, bone. You're not gonna do a little none of this. Come on now, come on. Who's gonna believe that? And even Pedro was like, listen, Scott, talk to me man to man. I'm a man. I know you banged that woman. There's no way you're going to bring like a woman that you were like once in love with to a hotel room, and she apparently is back in love with you, and not bone her. So I really actually low-key felt bad for him and Nicole, because at this point, like at this table, they're realizing that their mom is a dumb bird who honestly believes Scott didn't bang his ex in the same hotel room that he just banged her in. It's like, oh God, now my mom being a bird. Like, no one wants to accept that. That is so embarrassing, you know? My goodness gracious. So that was quite sad. Now, Nicole was getting ready to throw water in Scott's face, and I really didn't like how Pedro stopped her. I'm like, listen, Scott needs to wash his face a little bit. Like, just let Nicole, you know, help him out. Like, why would you intercept that? Because guess what? Now it's all up in the mom's face, because like she was about to throw it this way, and then Pedro moved her arm, and this is where her mom was. So it was in her mom's face, and then they both just left without saying anything to the mom. I'm like, you're not gonna check on this woman? What? Like, she must be freezing. She's half naked on the beach at night, and now she's got water in her face. And I didn't understand why Pedro kept telling his sister to calm down when he was the one who was so agitated from the beginning as well. And not only that, but later on, when he gets into a beef with Scott at the gym, he starts off so hype, and then eventually it turns into physical. So why couldn't the sister show her emotions? You know, why are your emotions okay? I didn't like that either. Now, I will also say that their mom just seems so weak and dead on the inside. Like when she's wiping the water off of herself, and then Pedro eventually comes back. He's like, come on, let's go. Like, grab your stuff. Rápido, rápido, as Queen Peluca would say. And the mom, she's just like gathering her things. And like, you know, those people, like, I think the word like we use in Canada is miskeen. I don't know if like other people use that, but it's like people that are just like Eeyore energy people. Like, they have no spark behind their eyes. They're kind of depressing. Like, they're just there. You're kind of like feel like, oh God, like this poor person. You know what I mean? Like that kind of energy. He's like, rapido, you know, grab your stuff. And she's like this. Like, just so low energy, you know? It was just like, come on, like, have some pride in yourself, you know? So anyway, let's get into Chantel and her family back in New York. So her mother and her sister are sitting at a restaurant waiting for Alejandro to pop up. But the problem is that Alejandro seems to be ghosting them. It's 30 minutes past when they were supposed to meet up, and he is still not there. And Queen Palooka asks her daughter Winter if she could take off her shoes in a hurry if need be, because she's like, maybe this is a setup. Maybe he's gathering up his friends so they can come here and jump us at this restaurant. So I need to know that Winter can like take off her shoes quickly. And Winter's like, yeah, I could do it. I got you. And I thought that was so funny. I don't know. I just love this lady. She's hilarious to me. I'm so sad this is the final season. Now the next morning, it turns out that Alejandro was not only like 30 minutes late, he straight up didn't show up because Queen Palooka goes to Chantel's hotel to announce that news. She also says that the private eye claims that he had gotten back in contact with his ex, Nicole, and that might be why he ghosted on their meeting. Nicole's probably like, don't go talk to them about me if you want me back, which I totally understand on her front and on his front as well. So voila. Now back to the Scott situation. Nicole's friend who happened to be at this pool that Scott was at, and it turned out that Scott was out there hitting on women. So she got a video of him, like he's on the edge of the pool, scooting on over to ask a lady to put her number in his phone, and scooting on back just in case anyone pops up on him like his girlfriend. And so she gives that to Pedro, and he is super upset. He invites Scott to the gym to get clapped, and not clapped like this but clapped like this. And it is just so funny. Well, Scott doesn't know that he's supposedly going to get clapped by Pedro. And yeah, so he goes to the gym. He's thinking they're just going to be working out together, but he senses that Pedro is super duper hostile from the very beginning. So he's like, are you okay? Are you going to try to one-up me? I'm trying to stretch. So he's just like doing his little old man stretches, like 2, 3. Pedro's like, hurry up, old man, hurry up. He's like, is everything okay, Pedro? Like, I thought we were here to work out. Like, what's going on? Are you okay? And so Pedro just kept on antagonizing the hell out of him. And so at this point, Scott's upset. So he shoves Pedro, and it was far. Like, you could see, like, like when you see the crash test dummies in the car. That's what that was for Pedro. And then he's like, what the hell, this guy just shoved me, like perfect excuse for me to whoop his butt, for me to clap him. And nothing happened. Neither of them really got any good hits in. Like, it was just all for show. 2 guys pulled them apart, but even before, no one was going anywhere. I think Pedro was trying to carry this guy. It's like, Pedro, this guy obviously looks like he weighs at least 150 pounds more than you. Stop it. You're not lifting shit. And then the other guy, I thought he was gonna I could have sworn early on, when they were doing the full trailer before the season drops, we saw him hip thrust Pedro over him onto the floor, but no, that didn't happen. So it was a mess. Now, as they're being pulled apart, Scott's yelling to Pedro that he is nothing. I'll F you up. You're a pushy. And he's like, you know what? You might know karate, but I know crazy. And it's like, oh God, you're such an old loser. I'm sorry, but at your age, it really feels like he is trying to be on TV. I feel like he's using Lydia to be on TV, and he wants to have this image of being a playboy, and he wants to let Latin American women that he loves them to try and get the ones who watch the show in his DMs and stuff. He is the most inauthentic, insincere person I've seen in a while. And you know what else he looks like? He looks like a turtle that was pulled out of its shell. That's what he looks like to me. Okay, I just don't like this guy. If you can't tell, I really can't stand him. He's everything, he represents everything I hate in American men. So anyway, after things calm down, Pedro, you can tell he's scared that he's gonna get clapped by Scott this time. He's like, I'm gonna show you my phone. Don't move. Get away from my phone. So he's like, here's my phone, Scott. I saw a video of you flirting with women, asking for their numbers. What was that? And so Scott, of course, as usual, he's got excuses on excuses. I was just being social with everybody. I didn't try to flirt with girls. I was making friends. It's like, Scott, you don't even speak no damn Spanish. Stop it. Like, what are you talking about? Get out of here. And then Pedro, at this point, he tells Scott to go back to his country. He's like, you know what? Just go back to your country. And it just makes me laugh because I know it's like the go-to usual insult Americans have on other people, you know, like if they're racist, not all Americans, of course. So it's just so funny to me to hear it in reverse. Like, go back to your country, go back to America. That was kind of funny to me. So now Scott also says, oh God. This is the last note I have for the episode, and it disgusts me to even have to repeat this. I really can't stand Scott, you guys. He's such a raging, creepy, vile, filthy, dirty misogynist. So after the confrontation at the gym with Pedro, you know what he says to the cameras? He's like, wow, after all of this, I'm gonna like bone the crap out of Pedro's mom and make sure that the kids know about it. Pedro and Nicole will know all about it. This just motivates me to like screw, like it was so vile and gross the way he used her as like a casualty of his war with her children. Even repeating it, I want to throw up. Like, this shellless turtle is talking about boning you to get back at your kids. Wake up, Lydia. I know your self-esteem left your body and your soul many decades ago, but go try and find at least a little pinch of it, because this is disturbing. Get rid of this guy. Throw him to the curb. He is nothing but a filthy little donkey. Oh my God, I was disturbed and I knew it. First of all, when he invited the Colombian here to the Dominican Republic, I'm like, he ain't shit. Second of all, when he like carried her to the hotel room and then after he's like to the cameras, I'm like, ugh, you know. Third of all, being obsessed with Latinas. Meanwhile, you can't be bothered to learn more than 2 words in Spanish. Red flag again. Just ew. I hate this guy. I hope Pedro and Nicole continue to drag him at every single turn because he is filthy. He is nasty. And I hope that Lydia wakes up and kicks him to the curb, because absolutely not. Anyway, you guys, that does it. A recap of what went down on this week's episode of the Family Chantel. As usual, I'm more excited to hear what you have to say about everything. So please make sure to leave all of your thoughts or opinions in the comment section down below. And as usual, we'll chat. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.